Eric, have you heard about the 850-pound woman who passed away and now her mom is speaking out because they had issues transporting her body?
I've heard a little bit about it.
This takes place in Wisconsin, and per the article, it says a grieving mother is upset after she could not arrange a funeral for her daughter who passed due to her weight. And she did an exclusive interview with her daughter where she states her daughter passed away in her home, weighing 850 pounds at the time of her passing, and efforts to remove her from the home were complicated. The process took around 12 hours and around 24 people. And this is it, the only hard part. Her mother also had issues finding a funeral home that could cremate her, and she had to be transported to a crematorium in Illinois. Her mother explains there's not a funeral home that would take her. Her mother says she felt hopeless as dozens of people entered her home after her daughter died, but despite their best efforts, removing her from the building was a challenge. She said to walk in that room and just to keep seeing her there, and it's like, oh my God, when are they going to get my baby out of here? Ted Larson, who owns Church and Chapel Funeral Service, stepped in to help and worked alongside the fire department and the police department to load Ortez into a van owned by the city. They're saying there were around 20 to 30 people in the house trying to help the family address the situation. Even after her body was removed from the home, the transportation of the body was a fiasco. And I can only imagine what the family is going through and how this situation probably has wreaked, havoc on their lives, seeing your loved one, just sitting there and knowing that they're no longer here in their body anymore.
Overall, it just seems like a sad situation to be in. Like I said, my heart does go out to the family. Nobody should have to witness this, but there's also a severe degree of challenges when you're that weight.
Right.
So you're even if you wanted to have an open casket funeral, let's just say that you have to have a coffin custom made.
Right.
Because if you're not of average build, let's just say, I know people that are 60 pounds all the way up to 350. You could possibly have accommodations for them, but anything that's even more plus size besides 350 plus, you're going to have a greater issue.
Right, but it gets much more what. So remember, I said the firefighters were helping them transport the body. Well, the firefighters received an emergency call and unfortunately they took the body along to the emergency call. And the funeral home director said, myself and my colleagues were not capable. They weren't able to take her from the van and put her on any other table to accommodate her. Her mother was heartbroken when she described how she felt after the transportation of her daughter's remains hit obstacle after obstacle. And once again, this is so sensitive. This is kind of hard to report on because the sensitivity and you want to be respectful. And I couldn't, I just really couldn't imagine. And this is things that, you don't really consider because her daughter was relatively young. She was only 36. So, I know at that weight, you just really don't be prepared for something like this. And you don't really think this person is going to go away, but this is a reality. So she said with having sat so long in the bed and having sat so long in the van, even if she wanted, she couldn't have a funeral. The mother also said her daughter was both a beautiful soul and had a contagious laughter. She says, I don't wish what we are going through. I don't wish that on anybody. And she also said she wants the state of Wisconsin to do something to assist families of morbidly obese people when they die. And she suggested that they hold some type of protocols. Now, this is where it gets complicated because this is where it becomes it's one of those rare incidents. And it's sad that they had to be an example of this. I don't know what